Alhamdulillah, countless gratitude to Allah, the Lord of all the creations, that He has bestowed upon us the ability and opportunity to spend this time in His remembrance. Innumerable peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because of whom Allah's blessing is upon us. My dear and respected audience, Allah says in Quran, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. ثم أنتم هؤلاء تقتلون أنفسكم وتخرجون فريقا منكم من ديارهم تظاهرون عليهم بالإثم والعدوان وإن يأتوكم أسارى تفادوهم وهو محرم عليكم إخراجهم أفتؤمنون ببعض الكتاب وتكفرون ببعض فما جزاء من يفعل ذلك منكم إلا خزي في الحياة الدنيا ويوم القيامة يردون إلى أشد العذاب وما الله بغافل عما تعملون أولئك الذين اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة فلا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينصرون. And yet you are those who kill each other, and some of you put the others amongst you in exile and help their enemies in the oppression and tyranny against them. When these kings of yours or the people of the same faith come to you as prisoners, you ransom them, even though it has been made prohibited for you. Do you believe in some portions of the book and reject others? So whoever does that, what else is their reward but utter disgrace in this life and to be awarded extreme punishment in the hereafter on the day of judgment. And Allah is not unaware of what you do. These are the people who traded life of this world in place of the hereafter. So their calamity will not be reduced, nor will they be helped. A few months ago, we learned these ayahs, these verses of Quran, and we understood their context as it related to the Jews of the times of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, Quran is Allah's final word, and as such encompasses all the times that were to come after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The promises, the blessings, the warnings of Allah that were true for the Jews and Israelites of the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they still hold true and carry the same weight for us all. All the Muslims, all the people who came before us and who are to come after us. This word of Allah, these verdicts are not going to change. Today, inshallah, we will try to learn the meanings of these ayahs in the light of the events of Karbala. The great sacrifice that the flower of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the prince of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Imam Hussain sallallahu alaihi wasallam, presented to preserve the spirit of this religion, of this deen. Not the form of this deen, but the spirit of this deen. Let us start from the beginning to give you a context. At the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Muslims were poor. They hardly used to make ends meet. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did not want anything to do with these worldly wealth. He said, what do I have to do with dunya? So as long as he was amongst the Muslims, they were not rich. They were generally poor people, but they were very stern in their faith. Then after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Muslims, they had to start fighting in order to ensure their survival. They needed to fight the two of the most powerful, the two of the richest empires of the world, of the known world at the time, the Byzantines and the Sassanids. The battle started. The Muslims, they were again few in number, had very few means. The only thing that they had was their stern faith in Allah and His blessing and His assistance. So went there, and the fighting kept on with these two empires up until roughly the middle of the reign of Hazrat Umar ibn Khattab radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Now, once the Muslims they were successful against these two empires, they pushed the Byzantines out of the Arabian Peninsula, and they conquered completely the Sassanids. Then, all of a sudden, all their wealth, all their luxuries, all their lifestyle, it found its way inside the Muslims. There was a lot of wealth there, everything. And then, those people who were under their rule, many of them converted to Islam. Now, these new Muslims, they were not the Muslims of the time of Rasulullah. They had not gone through all that trials and troubles and everything. They just moved, converted from one faith living in one society, and they just changed their faith. Their social values, their attributes, those things did not change. And what were those things? Mostly because it was an imperial society, highly delegated. It was, there was corruption in there. There was oppression in there. There were all those treacheries going in the high courts that were the custom of those days. So all those things were there, which the Muslims had nothing beforehand. Hazrat Umar radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, as was his style, you can say, or he ruled with a very firm hand. So he kept everybody in check. He did not leave any little bit of a space for people to wander around. After him came the time of Hazrat Usman radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and he was by nature he was a very kind person. He could not go hard on anybody. People took advantage of this, and during his time, all these bad acts, they found their way into the influential Muslims, or the people inside the Muslims who wanted to be influential. There was wealth, there was luxury, there was treachery, there were governorships to be held, there was wealth to be made. So, unfortunately, all that, and it resulted in the first fitna of Islam, which ended at the martyrdom or the death of Hazrat Usman ibn Affan radhiyallahu ta'ala. After Hazrat Usman radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Hazrat Ali karamallahu wajh, he was made the Khalifa, and he tried his best to steer the society out of this vortex. He was the best of the people, he had the best of the ability, but he was in an impossible situation. He kept on fighting left and right because people were so used to these things. Fighting him, first, there were people who did not realize the full consequences and started a war against him, claiming they want to avenge Usman. Were very great Sahaba, 3 of them at least, who were part of this conspiracy. But their stance was not right, as the time proved, because it was not an act of individual. The killing of Usman was an act of tribes. And going after it immediately at that time was not feasible for anybody. Anyways, long story short, and then, of course, there was Umayyah. He revolted again on the pretext of avenging Usman, because he was from Banu Umayyah, and Usman was from Banu Umayyah as well. And then Muawiyah, of all the people who got influenced from all the wealth and everything that came from the Byzantines and the Sassanids, he was probably the most beneficial, because he was son of Abu Sufyan. He was used to these things. He was the son of the leader of all the tribes of Quraysh. He knew those means, and then he started using those means to solidify his own position. He started using the Bayt al-Mal, the public treasury, to award people who were faithful to him. So whoever used to go to Muawiyah used to get big sums of money, not for himself only, but for his tribe and everybody. And whoever used to come to Ali, Ali on the other hand is the one living on, dry piece of bread, used to like dip them in the water and eating that. So if he is not using Baitul Mal for himself and his kids, what is he going to give to you? He's going to tell you that do this because this is right, but he's not going to give you millions of or sums of money or hundreds of thousands of dinars or dirhams as a Muawiyah is. So consequently, where would people go? People go towards Muawiyah because that's more lucrative purchase to them. So Ali tried for about, I think his Khilafah was 5 years and some months. He tried his best. He could not overcome all that. He went very close to defeating Muawiyah and his forces, but almost always his own people revolted against him at that time. Sometimes when they in the Safan, when they put the Quran on their lances, his army stopped and Ali told them, move forward. They are just using it as a trick. If they were to obey Quran, then why would they fight me? But his army refused. And then they sent to the person, and then when they made a pact with Muawiyah, then the people said, okay, no, we want to fight Muawiyah. And he said, no, I cannot break the treaty as long as I have. And then they were against Ali as well, the Khawarij. So this was it. The people who had, he was left with very few people who had the ability and the sane mind. Most of the people who were able to do anything, they went to Muawiyah because that was a better purchase. And the people who were with Ali, they were just there to prove their own point right. They were not following him. They were with him to avenge something or for some other purpose, or just to make sure that they are supreme for their own personal goals and glory. Anyways, long story short, Hazrat Ali Karamallah Wajh, he got murdered, and then he appointed Hazrat Imam Hussain as his successor. Actually, he told him, if they agree to you, then be their leader. If they don't, then don't go after it. So Imam Hussain, people said, okay, we will take back of you, you will be our leader. And he said, okay. And when he was taking back, he was saying to them, okay, people, listen to me, whatever I tell you. If I make peace, you make peace. If I make war, you make war. Then the people that were supposedly with Hazrat Ali Karamallah Wajh, when they heard him say, they said, oh no, he's not going to war, he's not going to fight, he's just going to go for peace. So they started getting away from him as well. Because again, they were not the followers, they were just with him. So Muawiyah, he brought the force, and then he offered him peace treaty. Hazrat Imam Hussain, actually, he offered him first. He wrote him few conditions and said, okay, these are the things, if you agree on them, then we have a peace. I will submit to you, you become the ruler of the Muslims. I will not object to it. Why Imam Hussain did it? Because the greatest stance of Muawiyah was that he wanted to avenge, his political slogan was that I want to avenge Uthman. So Hassan, he said, okay, here you go. You take all the power you got, all the money there is, go avenge Uthman. Okay. And second, he knew he did not have true followers with him. He knew people are not going to fight. They did not fight with his father. They kept on arguing against and again. So he wanted to make it clear for everybody, like, okay, he did not want to have any blame of it. So he gave Muawiyah what he wanted. He put, I think, 8 conditions with him. He agreed to them, and there was a peace. However, Muawiyah did not fulfill any of those 8 conditions. He reverted back from all of them. There was a certain, he demanded, as Imam Hussain he demanded that a portion of Baitul Mal be given to him so that he can support the people who died with him or his father and their families. Muawiyah agreed, and then they said, no, this is our Mali Ghanima. We won it in the war, it's ours. We're not going to give it to you. Okay. So Hassan said, My father will not be cursed on the pulpits of Masajid in front of me. Muawiyah said, okay. For 80 years, Ali Karamallah Bachoo was cursed on the Khutbatul Jummah, on the pulpits of the Masajid, from the Masjid al-Haram till farthest in the empire. Long story short, and then the final thing was that thing that was agreed upon was, when you will die, you will not appoint anybody from your family as your successor. You will leave it to the Muslims to decide who their next Khalifa would be. And this was, and remember, he ruled for 20 years. Muawiyah ruled for 20 years. He had the largest empire of the time, the most resourceful, abundance of gold and all the wealth. And there was nobody challenging him after Imam Hussain. He made that treaty. And he got Imam Hussain killed as well. So, and then the people were still there who saw what Islam was, what Islam is supposed to be. And they were unhappy with it. And they used to write to Imam Hussain alayhi salam, because he was the next in line from the progeny of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And not only because he was the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they were the most pious, the most capable people. They were trained well by their father and their mother. They were the sons of Bibi Fatima al-Zahra. They were the sons of Ali Karamallah Bachoo. They were trained by their grandson, their father, their mother. They were trained well. They knew. They had the knowledge not only of Quran, they had the knowledge of everything. Ali Karamallah Bachoo. Many ulum started from him, the Sarf, the Nahab, and a lot of ulum that started with Ali Karamallah Bachoo. They did not exist before him. And they were, Hussain was his son. He trained his sons well. So, not only because they were the direct lineage from Rasulullah, they were fully capable. They were the most capable. And Hazrat Imam Hussain at that time, he was the most capable of leading the Muslims, not ruling them, of leading them. But he kept, and people used to send him the letters again. And in some, at least, if not many, they used to say, what will you answer Allah? If you are not standing up to this tyrant, how will you answer Allah? And he used to say, I am bound by the treaty that my brother made. There is this last clause that still needs to be fulfilled. I would rather wait and hope that Muawiyah fulfills this, because if he does that, then there is still a chance. We will recover from this spiral. We will recover from this whirlwind, this whirlpool. However, Muawiyah, nearing the time of his death, he started to have people, to force them, to lure them, to appease them, to submit to the bad of Yazid after him, to make him their leader after him. Started, of course, with Dimashq, and there were a lot of people, whoever, now for 20 years, people, at least for one whole generation, people were used to of living that luxurious life, enjoying all those benefits when they are closer to the court and they can do whatever and nobody can stop them. They can kill the people and they can get away with it. They can rob people of their belongings. They can get away with it. All that good stuff. Bad stuff essentially. But yeah, what looked good to those people. So many of them, they agreed to it. Muawiyah, he came to Medina. He first tried to, and there were at that time the four of the greatest Sahaba: Hazrat Abdullah, Abdurrahman bin Abi Bakr, Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Abbas, and Hazrat Abdullah ibn Zubair, and Hazrat Imam Hussain. 5 of them. They were in Medina. So he came there. He first tried to give them money to get it. He sent 100,000 dinars to Hazrat Abdullah ibn Umar, and then he said, after he sent a messenger and he said, okay, once you're done them, ask him, what do you think about Yazid being the Khalifa? And Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, okay, does he want to buy my iman with it? Take this 100,000 away. I don't need it. Anyways, then Muawiyah came himself. He talked to them and they gave him 3 options. They said, okay, you have a precedence before you. Either you leave the world like Rasulullah ﷺ did, without appointing anybody, his successor, and let the Muslims choose. And he said, but where will you find somebody like Abu Bakr in today's world? And they said, okay, you're good enough. Then use what Abu Bakr did. He appointed a person who was the farthest from him in the kin and appointed him Khalifa, Umar. And he said, I can't do that. He said, like, okay, if you don't want to do that, then do what Umar did. He puts a committee of 6 people, none of which was his blood relative or from his family. And he said to Muslims that these 6 people, whoever they choose, will be your Khalifa. Do that. He said, I'm not going to do that either. It's either Yazid or... Then he called them, and it was happening in Mecca. And he called them, he called his chief of police, and he said, I am going to deliver a sermon in Masjid al-Haram, and you stand behind these people. Have your people stand behind these people, and if any of them want to start to talk, you cut their head right then and there. Then he brought his member next to Kaaba, he sat on it, and he said, people, these 5 have submitted to the Bai'at of Yazid, so I invite you to do the Bai'at of Yazid as well. People like flocked. They said, okay, if they 5 are happy, then we are happy, whatever. And those 5, they were sitting quietly because they didn't want the bloodshed to happen in Kaaba. And then when Muawiyah went away, people came and said, okay, why did you do bad? And they said, we did not. As people said, if you did not, then we did not either. Anyways, Muawiyah died. And here is one thing I want to clarify. There are many people who, I see and hear, some say Sayyidina Muawiyah, some say Radiyallahu Ta'ala anhu, and you ask them why. Oh, because he was a Sahabi. There is nowhere in any book of hadith, authentic hadith. Many of those people, they ask for everything about authentic. When you tell them anything that is good, oh, what is the authenticity? You tell them you have to do so many nawafil at night, they will ask you, what is the authenticity about it for nawafil? But when it comes to some things like that, then they are okay with the unauthentic and made up stories. Anyway, nowhere there is said that whoever sees Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a Jannati and the Muslims have to follow that person. That blank check is not given to anybody. Not even to Bibi Fatima Zahra radhiyallahu ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and everybody knows it, that even if she commits robbery, if she steals something, I will cut her head. So even she does not have that immunity. Who is a Muawiyah to have that immunity? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we only follow. There are tons of people who were Sahaba, who were amongst the Sabiqun al-Awwalun. There were people who did immigrate to Habasha. They did not die even Muslims. There were people who immigrated to Medina. They did not die as Muslims. What are you talking about? And Muawiyah, a person who became a Muslim after Makkah, the conquest of Makkah, he became so important that nobody can talk about him. If somebody talks about him, the truth, then it's now, oh, you are talking bad about the Sahaba of Rasulullah. And they have made this thing that, okay, if you say any Sahabi of Rasulullah, anything bad about it, then you're saying bad about Rasulullah. Nauzubillah, astaghfirullah. Rasulullah did what he did. The act of a Sahabi is not act of Rasulullah. As long as that Sahabi says, until the Sahabi says, I am doing this because I saw Rasulullah doing this, then we say that this is the act of Rasulullah. Other than that, Sahaba commit zina in the time of Rasulullah. How can you say that anything that if you say that Sahaba did something, Sahabi did something bad, then you're saying Rasulullah did something bad. This is how these Darbari Maulvis, they have got our brains encapsulated and got them frozen into it, that we cannot question anybody. And this is why the enemies of Islam, they use this same mentality against Islam, that Islam forbids you from questioning anything. No, it does not. Only the act of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you find it, or the word of Allah, when you find it, then you find the reason behind it, because those things are true. Any other human being, if you do not find their acts in accordance with the commands of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah and the commands of Quran, you ask that person, why did you do that? And if the answer does not come to you satisfying the demands and the commands of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Quran, then you do not follow that person. You do not hold that. We all read about that instance when Umar was asked about the robe he was wearing. That is Islam. Islam is not that a person who Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Iman and lie, faith and lie cannot be together in a heart. A person who lies is not a mu'min. Plain and simple. Muawiyah is not even a mu'min. And you are making Sayyidina our leader. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. A person who made a pact with the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and violated each and every aspect of it, clause of it, and you are calling that person your leader because simply he saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What about Abu Lahab? He let his slave girl go because she gave him the blessing of the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Make him Sahabi in something as well. Make him your Sayyidina as well. So that is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nowhere does Islam ask you to follow a person no matter what he or she does because that person has anything, even lineage to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let alone has seen Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
But they say he's a Ravi of Quran.
No, there were 4 Katibin of Quran, and the 4 Katibin of Quran were before. When was he there when Quran was being revealed? Where was he? He was not a Muslim during the first 13 years of Makkah. He was not in Medina. He never was in Medina. What part of Quran was revealed when Muawiyah was sitting there? He did wrote a few letters or make a few lists on behalf of Rasulullah perhaps. But the Quran, the Katibin, there were 2 from Muhajirin, there were 2 from Ansar. That bin Sahabat, Ali Karamallah Wajah al-Usman, and the 4th, the others Ansari, I'm forgetting the name right now. But there were these 4 people, only these 4 were entrusted officially to write anything. Muawiyah was never there. Where was? Think about it. He was nowhere around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for a good 13 plus at least 8 years. 21 years of 23 years of his Besa.
About 7 years.
7 years in Medina.
Yeah.
Well, Fatah Makkah was in 8.
56, he was 56 when he came. 63 he died.
Yeah.
So just 6 or 7 years.
7 years. That's what I'm saying. And about 20 years of a 23-year period, he was nowhere near. And even when he became a Muslim, he was living in Makkah. Rasulullah was living in Medina. When was he there to write Quran? And even if he wrote Quran, then what?
Yeah.
There were many people who wrote Quran. There are many people who still write Quran. There are Chaldeans living in Arabia who read Quran, and they do it to find a weakness in it. And so it was nothing. All these things are made up. And again, there is no authentic report of Muawiyah to be writing, of being the official scribe of Quran. There was nothing. So coming back to the topic, he died. Yazid became the king. Now he had all the attributes. Even at the time of Muawiyah, when he asked one of the people he trusted most, Ziyad. And Ziyad is called Ziyad bin
Abi Sufyan.
No, not Abi Sufyan. Ibn Sumayya. Sumayya was the slave lady of a rich person in Taif. And Abu Sufyan visited him, and he wanted to have somebody for that night, and that person gave him Sumayya, and Sumayya bore Ziyad out of it. But but he's
Some point-
Ziyad ibn Sumayya. But it was widely believed even by Muawiyah and Ziyad that he is the son of Abu Sufyan. Anyways, he asked him, and Ziyad even, he said that, and he asked a person to consult on the matter, and he said, I want to tell him that Yazid is not capable. He has no attribute that would make him even a good worldly king, so he should refrain from it. And the person told him, he said, don't write that, you don't have to make an enemy out of Yazid, just tell him to just wait and see. So he wrote it, and Muawiyah stopped it. When Ziyad is dead, then he started the campaign of it I already told you about. So when Yazid became the king, and he was reprobate in every aspect. He used to drink, he was dishonest, unjust, untrustworthy, everything that you can find. He was just a mess, a moral, spiritual mess. Anyways, when he became the king, he ordered the governor of Medina, he said, okay, go to Hussein and make him take a bath. Forcefully make him admit to my kingdom, my rule. Imam Hussain, he went there and then he said, okay, I'll think about it. And then he left Medina, came to Makkah, just to avoid all that. And in the meantime, the people in Kufa, they started writing letters to him. They said, okay, one tyrant is gone and he has put upon us another tyrant. We look at you to come and save us from this tyranny. If you come, we will follow you and we will work against this tyranny and take this, make Islam pure from these things. So that Imam Hussain anhu, he sent his cousin, the Muslim ibn Aqil anhu, to Kufa. And he told him, okay, he gave him his letter and said, okay, this is my emissary, and he is coming to you. If he will tell me to come, then I will come. The Muslim bin Aqil, and it was Nu'man bin Bashir, who was the governor of Kufa at that time, and he was a lenient person. He said, I'm not going to punish anybody up until they break the law. Merely because a person is coming over here and meeting people, it does not qualify for me to do anything against it. The people in Kufa, they met Muslim bin Aqil, and 18,000 of them, they pledged their allegiance to Imam Hussain. So Muslim ibn Aqil, he wrote to Imam Hussain that these people are very ready for you, they are waiting for you, come immediately. In the meantime, the news came to Yazid, and he appointed Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, who was the son of Ziyad that I mentioned earlier. He appointed him the governor of Kufa, and he was a tyrant like his father, Ubaydullah. People used to fear him. He had a good mind, but he was like ruthless, merciless person. Much like Genghis Khan, you can say. And when he had the nerve to walk into the Kufa alone. He by himself alone came there, and people thought that it is Imam Hussain. They kept on saying, Islam, ya ibn Rasulullah. They keep on meeting him, and because they did not have never seen Imam Hussain. So they thought it's the same. This is a stranger walking through the streets, and he kept on marching towards the palace. And when he went to the governor's house, he knocked at the door, and Nu'man bin Bashir, he said, okay, go away. He thought it's Imam Hussain as well. And he said, go away, I'm not going to assist you in any fight or anything. And he said, Ubaydullah, he said, open the door, I'm Ubaydullah. And everybody in there was shaking with fear. They opened the door. And Ubaydullah, he came there and he said that whoever has pledged allegiance to Imam Hussain and did not take it back, does not revert back, I'm going to kill them, I'm going to kill their families, I'm going to kill their friends and their families. Okay. Now, in the meantime, and he asked the person whose home as Muslim ibn Aqil, he was staying, he called that person, okay, come to me, I want to talk to you. The person came to him, he beat him up and imprisoned him. Upon which a Muslim ibn Aqil, he took with 400, there were 4,000 people with him at that time. They surrounded the palace. And there were 30 policemen and 20 servants with Ibn Ziyad at that time. 50 people altogether that he had in that palace, and there were 4,000 out there. But here is how the world works. He asked his people to go on the balcony and start telling people that whoever leaves Muslim right now is forgiven, and whoever does not stays with him, again, he will be killed, his family will be killed, his friends and their families will be killed. So this was the tyranny.
Psychological.
Yeah. And the people got scared. They did not know that they have 4,000 there, but they just lost hope. And then a few started slipping here and there. And then, of course, whoever were with them, their wives, their mothers, sisters, daughters, father, brother, all those people came up and started dragging them back home. And by the before the sunset, Muslim ibn Aqil was the only one standing there. There was nobody with him. He was the only person left in the masjid. So then there was this woman. He went there to her door and he asked for water, and she brought him water, and he did not drink, just kept the glass in his hand and just sat there, sat at the doorstep. And she said, "Why don't you go?" I said, "Where do I go? I don't have any place. I'm a stranger here." She said, "Okay, I'll give you protection." She hid him. And then Ubaidullah, he at the time of Maghrib, he announced, he said, "Okay, all the people of Kufa, you are all forgiven, except for the person who is hiding Muslim ibn Aqil. And whoever will bring me the report of Muslim ibn Aqil, I will give him a grand prize, a lot of money." So the son of that woman who was hiding Muslim ibn Aqil, he went and told Ibn Ziyad that he is in our home. He sent 70 people to get him. He started fighting, and when they found they cannot get to him because many of them got killed, they said, "Okay, let's make peace and let's just go to Ibn Ziyad and you can talk to him. Don't kill us. We won't do anything." He said, "Okay." And they came there, and as soon as they came there, they got his sword, and then they said, he cried and said, "Okay, this is the first act of dishonesty you did. You took my sword away." I said, No, nothing. You don't have to worry about anything." So they took there, and they gave him his aman, everybody except one. Went there, Ibn Ziyad, there was a dialogue, and he said, "Okay, go and kill him." And he said, so this was the character of those people who were true Muslims, and he said, "Before you kill me, can I talk?" There was Umar bin Saad, son of Saad bin Abi Waqqas. He was there, and he said, "Can I talk to him in private if you let me, before you kill me?" He said, "Okay." And he told Umar ibn Saad, he said, 3 requests. First is, write a letter to Imam Hussain. Tell him to please go back wherever he is. Go back. Don't come here. Second is, I borrowed 700 dirhams from so and so for my expenses in Kufa. Return that money to that person. You're about to die, but they knew that this is what a Muslim needs to do. And third, he said, bury me at a place and so Umar bin Saad told Ibn Ziyad, he said, "I'll do everything. You can do whatever you want, but I'm not going to listen to you about the burial." He did not bury him. So he got him publicly executed and threw his corpse on the ground. Anyways, in the meantime, all the Sahaba, Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Zubair, they were trying to stop the Imam Hussain to not go to Kufa. They were pleading to him. They said, "These people, they are not trustworthy. It is their attribute to revert back from their promises. Don't go there. Please don't go there." He said, "No, I have made a decision." Because in his mind, he was like, there are these people who are calling him. And he was afraid that if he don't go to their help, then Allah will ask him, Allah will be angry at him that, "Okay, my people were calling, why did you not go to help them?" Then they said, "Okay, if you have to go, don't take your women and children with you. Leave them here with us." And he said that, "I don't want to make an example that people, you go for something, for the cause of Allah and you save something behind you, I will take all of them. And he knew very well that if things turn around, there is nothing stopping saving him. But he did not want to leave anything behind. When he is going for the sake of Allah, he is going all in for it. So he departed from Makkah, and somewhere in the path he heard the news of the death of Muslim ibn Aqil and his message to go back. He told that to his companions, and they said, and he asked them, okay, what do you guys say? And the people who were the family of Muslim ibn Aqil, they said, we are not going to go back up until either we die or we avenge him. And now there is Muslim ibn Aqil who died during doing the job that Imam Hussain sent him. And his family wants justice. So now again Imam Hussain, he cannot come back to save his family. Marched on. They did. There are many people who met them. Everybody was telling them, the Kufis, they have reverted back. Their hearts are with you, but your swords will come out of their sheaths against you in the morning. Go back, go back. But how can he? He kept on walking up until they met the contingent of Hur. And the Hur, he stopped them. And this is what Imam Hussain told him. And this is the gist of it. Why he was there. When they stopped him, he gave them a sermon. And they were doing namaz, the salah with Imam Hussain. They just did not, their order was to stop him and bring him to Ibn Ziyad. So that's what they were doing. They were not being disrespectful, they were not calling him names, nothing. And he called him, said, "O people, Rasulullah has said," and this is very important for us. He said, "O people, Rasulullah has said that whoever lives in a time when the ruler of the land allows things that Allah has prohibited from, violates the pact that Allah has made, and does not follow the sunnah of Rasulullah and does not do, and that person who is living in that time, this person does not do anything verbally or forcefully to stop that ruler, then Allah will count such a person as an associate of that tyrant ruler." People be warned that these people, Yazid and his followers, have left obeying Allah and have started following shaitan. They have stopped following Sharia. They have started using public money as their own. This was one of the major crimes, one that we have grown very accustomed to today. They have started using public money as their own. They do what Allah has stopped them. And they stop others from doing what Allah has ordered them to do. So this was the charge sheet. Imam Hussain, yes, he believed that he was more suitable to be the leader of the Muslims because he was the most suitable to lead the Muslims at that time. After Hazrat Imam Hussain. But that was not the only thing. He was afraid that now that that treaty is gone, if he does not do anything against it, to stop it, Allah will consider him amongst the helpers of Yazid and amongst the people who introduced all these bid'at in the deen, all these innovations in the deen, the bad innovations. So this is why Hazrat Imam Hussain went there for. No, people say, oh, he went there because he wanted the kingdom. No, it did not. There is no harm in stating the fact that I am the best to lead you because he was the best to lead them. But that was not the whole story. He was the best to lead them even when Muawiyah was alive. He did not say that at that time. He was the best to lead them ever after Hassan died. He did not say that because there was a treaty. He was doing it. And he had an excuse for not doing it, which he told to people that, okay, there is one clause in treaty that has yet to be fulfilled. I cannot do anything. If Allah asks me, I can tell Allah, oh Allah, how could I have broken the treaty? Because Allah has ordered us to keep our pacts. But once that is gone, then he had no excuse to not do anything, and that's why he came out. And as soon as he heard about what the death of Muslim ibn Aqil, there was no shred of doubt in his mind that he and 72 other able-bodied people, there were 150 altogether, children, women, and everything, but 72 people who were able-bodied, we count to then Alauddin 73. They cannot fight an empire. He knew that. But he also knew he cannot face the anger of Rasulullah ﷺ and anger of Allah on the Day of Judgment. And why did you leave it? What were you saving your life for? So he kept on marching. And then Hur came, and then they said they stayed there for about a few days, and then the order from Ibn Ziyad came to Hur that you force them to land in a place where there is no shade and no water. And he appointed a person to make sure that Hur does what he's told. So Hur showed that message to Imam Hussain. He said, so what do you do? And he said, okay, you need to move to a place like that. And then they moved to what is called Karbala. And Ibn Ziyad, in the meantime, he ordered Umar ibn Saad to lead the campaign against Hazrat Imam Hussain. And Ibn Saad said, I'm not going to do that. What are you asking me to do? To go against the grandson of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and destroy my akhirah, be in the hellfire? And guess what Ibn Ziyad said? He said, okay, if you don't want to do that, then forget about being the governor of Ray. Ray was the province in which Tehran is today. It was very close to Tehran, it's a north city. And Ibn Saad said, he then said a few verses, he said, I know fighting against the grandson of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is for sure getting into hellfire. But what can I do? The governorship of Ray is the light of my eyes. So he knowingly, here it is, call about being Sahabi. He was son of Hazrat Sa'd ibn Waqqas, one of the Ashura al-Mubashara, the best of the best. And he knew what he's doing, and he chose the governorship of Ray instead of being along with Imam Hussain. So he came there, and Imam Hussain, and he amassed my army, I believe 4,000 to 30,000, 4,000 to 30,000. I think probably 4,000 or 5,000 was probably the right amount. Amassed that army, camped in front of Imam Hussain. And Imam Hussain, he called upon him and he said, okay, I give you 3 conditions. Take any of them. We can avoid this conflict. We can avoid bloodshed. Take me to Yazid. He is your king. Take me to him and let us decide between him and me what needs to be done with me. If you don't want that, then take me with you wherever you're fighting the non-Muslims in the jihad. And I'll stay on the border and fight them. I won't come back. If you don't want that, then let me go back where I come from, Makkah. I don't want to do anything with you. And Umar ibn Saad, he was very happy. He said, oh, we got a solution. So he wrote it to Ibn Ziyad, and Ibn Ziyad read it, and he showed it to Shimr, and he, inshallah. He said, okay, if you do that, if you send Hussain to Yazid, then there is no comparison between you and Hussain. He is so much better than you. You will never have a status near Yazid as the status of Hussain. The only way you can have a status with Yazid is if you make Hussain bow to Yazid, and then you can present it to Yazid as your achievement. So he wrote to Umar ibn Saad and he said, okay, either you fight him and bring me his head, either he submits or you bring me his head, or Shimr, who brought the letter, he is bringing me your head. Again, Umar ibn Saad, he traded badly. And they said that view to Imam Hussain that you have no option but either to submit or to fight. And then he said, okay, then give us tonight. It was the night. He said, okay, let us give us the night of tonight, and then tomorrow we will see what we need to do. It was the night, and Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu, he gathered all his companions, and he said, this is the sermon he gave to them. He said, I thank Allah in comfort and adversity. O Allah, I thank you that you granted us the nobility of prophethood. You gave us ears, eyes, and hearts by means of which we can understand your verses. You taught us the Quran and granted us the understanding of Deen. So this is, see, imagine a person, 73 able-bodied people, surrounded by 4,000, certain deaths in front of him, addressing his companions. And what is he saying? He is thanking Allah. He is thanking Allah in front of certain that is what Islam is. And what is he thanking Allah for? For granting them the prophethood, but more that, for giving them the ears and eyes and hearts to listen to Quran and to understand Quran. Imagine, this is Islam. This is being a Muslim. And then he keeps on. And then he says, admit us among your grateful servants. Thanking Allah and asking Allah. He is not saying, oh Allah, I'm going to see what a glorified sacrifice I'm going to make. Oh Allah, look what I'm going to do for you. Look what I have done for you. Here I have brought everybody here to die for you. No. He is asking Allah to please admit all of them amongst His servants, faithful servants. That is what Islam is. That you can't do enough to thank Allah. Even if you give your life, and that of your children, that of everything you do, and everything that you hold near and dear to your heart, still you cannot thank Allah enough. This is the lesson that Imam Hussain is giving us. And then he says, today no one has such faithful and pious companions as I have, according to my knowledge. No one's household is more steadfast than my household. May Allah reward you on my behalf. I think tomorrow is our last day. I think tomorrow is our last day. I willingly permit you all to disperse tonight and go wherever you find refuge. Take hold of my household and spread out in different places, because the enemy is searching for me. Once they find me, they will not pay attention to the others. So he's telling them that you have fulfilled your promise. Please go away. All I want from you is every one of you just take one member of my household with them, and don't all of you go in one direction. Go in different directions, so even if not all of you get captured, even if they try to follow, although they will not follow you because they are only interested in my head, and once they find me, they will not do it. They will not follow you. And on their hearing this speech, his brothers, children, and the sons of Abdullah ibn Jafar, they called out in one voice, we'll never do that. May Allah not keep us alive after you. So he is letting them go, and they are staying with him. Then he addressed Banu Aqil, the family of Muslim ibn Aqil. He said that your protector, Muslim ibn Aqil, was murdered. Already one life has been given by your family. This is sufficient for you. All of you go back. I willingly grant you permission. So he is telling them one by one that you go. So he is justifying them, their departure, by telling them that, okay, one of you has already died, along with his sons. Now you go back. You have done your part. And they said, how can we face the people by abandoning our elders in front of death and saving our lives? In fact, we will sacrifice our lives, children, and wealth for your sake. And Muslim ibn Ausja, he made a forceful saying, as long as there is life in me, I will fight to the end of my life. So he asked his people to go away, and not one of them left. That is the love of Allah. That is that Nisbat-e-Rasooli that we keep on talking about here. That is Islam. That you know you are going to lose everything. You stay there. You do what is right. You do what Allah asks and wants you to do. And then in the morning, Imam Hussain, when he addressed those people who were there to fight him, and he said, "Oh people, you know who I am. Who is my grandson? Who is my father? Who is my mother? And if you don't know, then you have people amongst you, like you had Sahaba living. There is Jabir ibn Abdullah, Zayd bin Arqam. Go ask them what Rasulullah had told about me. He has said about me. You are here to kill me? Why do you want to kill me? Have I killed somebody of yours that you want to exact something out of it? You are there to kill me, but what is your charge against me? What have I done wrong?" Speaking up your mind is not wrong. And they did not have any excuse except they said, "Oh, you are a liar, you are a liar, you are a liar." And he said, "I have never lied in my life. Ever since I have known that Allah hates lying and liar. You are calling me a liar." So he said, "People, I did not came here on my own. You called me. You sent me all these letters. And okay, if you don't want me amongst you, I'll go back." So he was making it clear that the fight was not for any political reason. It was a matter of principle. And then we all know they started the fight, and there were 72 people who got killed on the side of Imam Hussain. As long as there was any male who was able to lift arms left in there, they fought. Even his 6-month-old son got martyred. And after they were thirsty for 3 days and 3 nights, they did not have water. Somebody wrote to Ibn Ziyad. He said, "Ibn Ziyad, have some mercy. The water of these rivers is open to the dogs, to the jackals, to the wolves, to the swines of the jungle. But the household of Rasulullah is deprived of this water." He brushed it away. It was not an easy task. You have children who are thirsty for 3 days. And all they are asking for to give you water and let you live is if you simply say, "Okay, Yazid is the king." And he made a stand there. He did not mix the right with the wrong. He got all his family, except one child, martyred, except one male, Imam Zain. They all got murdered in front of his eyes. And at the end, he got murdered as well. And then once they killed him, they ran their horses on his corpse. They had a planned stampede to humiliate his dead body. They put his head on a lance and took it to Kufa. They did whatever they could. And he knew it that this is what is going to happen to him. But he did not stop. Why did he do that? Did he do it for Jannah? He did not. He was a baby Rasulullah when he said that he is the leader of the young people of Jannah. He did not need to do anything for Jannah. Because if he would not have been, there was nothing that he could do that would have taken him out of Jannah. Because if he were to not be amongst the people of Jannah, then Rasulullah would have been a liar. Nauzubillah. And if Rasulullah would be a liar, the whole deen falls flat. If you associate even one single lie with Rasulullah, you can prove it, the whole deen falls flat on its face. So he did not do it for Jannah. he did it to make the point once and for all that righteousness is good enough to die for. That if you are the only one on the path of truth, don't let go of it. Stand for it, even if you die. Because it's better to die on the right path than to live 1,000 years on the wrong path. And the reason he was able to do that, because he has that precious commodity that we call Nisbat-e-Rasooli sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He loved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He loved the message he brought. He could not bear the thought that something is happening against the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he just sits there and watches. And this is Nisbat-e-Rasooli sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we all gather here, that I try to tell you all. This is what I get the bad from you all the time. It's not something that I'm not telling anybody that I'll make you will start walking on the water, flying in the air. That's not the purpose. Even if you get to do that. The purpose is loving Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the point that Hussain did. Doing the right, committing to doing the right thing to the point that Hussain did. Nothing stands between you and the will of Allah and Rasulullah. That is what the purpose of Islam is. That is what is called Nisbat-e-Rasooli. That is what we are here for. Now with this focus, this attention, this intention, let's all start. Say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.